Coming up, charges laid after 7 years of Operation Sandon. Mayors facing down discrimination and hateful narratives as a world-first anti-semitism strategy is launched. Shoalhaven Council rejects claims of a toxic culture. A council under pressure to change its community vision. A general manager appointment and another councillor resignation. New Zealand police accused of failing to act over online death threats against councillors. And the growing resistance movement against data centres across the US. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. Lots happening in the world of local government, and this is where you can hear all about it every Monday, Wednesday and Friday on the Local Government News Roundup. Brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government. Victoria's anti-corruption watchdog has charged 2 people following a 7-year investigation into alleged corruption at Casey City Council. A former unnamed Casey councillor has been charged with 5 offences, including receiving secret commissions and misconduct in public office. An unnamed property development consultant has also been charged with giving secret commissions. The charges stem from Operation Sandon, which previously found that developer John Woodman paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to councillors in exchange for support on lucrative development projects. The IBAC report, tabled last year, described a web of well-orchestrated strategies designed to manipulate Casey Council decision-making processes. While IBAC didn't name the accused individuals, the Herald Sun and The Age have named former Mayor Sam Aziz and Mr Woodman as the 2 individuals facing charges. Both accused are expected to appear in Melbourne Magistrates Court on September 25. The Mayor of Yarra City Council, Stephen Jolly, has expressed strong support for the city's diverse community after a hate-filled Nazi demonstration at Parliament and Camp Sovereignty in King's Domain. In a statement, Councillor Jolly said that refugees and immigrants make valuable contributions to the community, and he countered incorrect racist narratives about jobs and housing. He said to all those who no longer feel safe in our city, we have your back. And Brimbank Mayor Councillor Tai Dang has also issued a statement this week emphasising the city's pride in being one of Australia's most diverse and multicultural communities, with a commitment to creating an inclusive environment free from discrimination. Councillor Dang has reassured residents that Brimbank City Council stands with community members during difficult times, dedicated to maintaining a safe and welcoming place for everyone. Coming up in our New South Wales report, news on a world-first anti-Semitism strategy which has been launched in Waverley Council. Queenscliff community members have petitioned the Borough of Queenscliff Council to revise its recently adopted community vision. The Ocean Grove Voice reported that the petitioners are claiming that key components of the vision relating to environmental responsibility and First Nations reconciliation were altered without proper consultation. The petition, signed by 407 people, including 271 local residents and ratepayers, requests the council to release consultation reports, rescind the current vision and restore core components of the original vision. The matter is scheduled for discussion at the September 24 council meeting. Melton City Council is urging the Victorian Government to strengthen regulations around developer advertising in new housing estates, particularly targeting misleading promises about infrastructure and amenities. ABC News reported on how residents in Mount Atkinson feel misled by developer marketing materials that promised facilities like a Westfield shopping centre that will no longer be built, leaving them isolated without basic services despite paying premium prices for their homes. Melton Mayor Steve Abushi said the council wants to see more enforcement and more regulation on the issue. Bass Coast Shire Council is proposing to reduce speed limits to 30 kilometres per hour on local roads in several Phillip Island estates. The move is designed to improve safety for pedestrians and cyclists who must share narrow, unmade roads with vehicles. The community can provide feedback on the proposals until September 26, with final approval required from the Department of Transport and Planning. And Mornington Peninsula Shire is transitioning to a new partnership model for youth services delivery, working with external providers to offer more flexible and targeted services while maintaining council leadership in coordination and planning. Mayor Anthony Marsh said the change will boost the range and reach of services available to young people in the Shire. Under the new model, 3 existing youth hubs will be activated as service centres and accessibility improved for those who find it hard to reach physical locations. Rounding up more news in brief, Colac Botanic Gardens pond has been vandalised through a series of premeditated acts where perpetrators accessed a power box, used a submersible pump to drain water and stole goldfish while damaging barriers. Colac Otway Shire Council is urging community members to report any information to police. Trentham has been named the top tiny tourism town at the Australian Top Tourism Town Awards, beating competitors from across Australia. Hepburn Shire Mayor, Councillor Don Henderson, said it was a remarkable achievement for Trentham and the region. And Mildura has been selected as one of only 19 towns across Australia to receive a community piano through the ABC's Pop-Up Piano Initiative. The piano will be officially welcomed at the Mildura Visitor Information Centre on September 10, where it will remain available for public use for 6 months. Mayor Helen Healy has congratulated the Mildura District Orchestra on their successful application for the program. You're listening to the Local Government News Roundup for Friday the 5th of September. Thank you for listening, and thank you to the VLGA, the Victorian Local Governance Association, for their support for the podcast. They've been with us since day one, and they're busy working on this year's mayoral leadership program with places filling fast. It really is time to book your place if you're planning to attend. The program is in its second year and is designed to equip mayors and deputy mayors with the knowledge they need to lead their council effectively and with good governance at their foundation. It'll cover the roles and responsibilities of a mayor, the mayor-CEO relationship, how to chair a council meeting, managing difficult conversations, dispute resolution, and effective communications and media training. It's mandatory for mayors and deputy mayors to undertake training at the commencement of each mayoral term, and this program directly aligns with the state government's mandatory requirements. There's more detail on the VLGA's website. Head to vlga.org.au, but it's on Friday the 28th of November from 9:30am at the Monash Conference Centre at 30 Collins Street, Melbourne. On to New South Wales now, and Waverley Council has launched Australia's first model anti-Semitism strategy to help councils address anti-Semitism and strengthen community cohesion, providing practical advice that can be adapted to local contexts. The model was unveiled at the Mayor's Summit Against Anti-Semitism, and it supports councils to take action against rising anti-Semitism and to demonstrate leadership in promoting safety, diversity and inclusion. Shoalhaven Council has passed a motion rejecting claims of a toxic work culture following the resignation of Councillor Natalie Johnston, who cited bullying, block voting and intimidation as reasons for her departure. The South Coast Register reported that some councillors, including Bob Proudfoot, defended the council's culture as positive, while others disagreed. The controversial motion ultimately passed by 8 votes to 4. Meanwhile, the council has proposed a second phase of staff restructuring aimed at simplifying operations and improving financial sustainability. It will disestablish over 50 positions, mostly vacant, while creating 14 new positions, and it's expected to save $4.6 million this financial year from those changes. Craig Kovich has been appointed as the new General Manager of Mossman Council, bringing over 20 years of local government experience, including his previous role as Director of Environment and Planning at the council. The appointment follows a competitive recruitment process with unanimous council endorsement. Mayor Anne-Marie Kimber highlighted Mr Kovich's integral role in building Mossman's strong financial position and community relationships. He's commenced a 5-year performance-based contract after serving as acting GM since the 2nd of July, following the retirement of Dominic Johnson after 9 years at the helm. Blue Mountains City Council has reiterated its opposition to the Western Sydney International Airport's proposed 24/7 operation with no curfew and its flight paths over the UNESCO World Heritage region. Mayor Mark Greenhill restated the council's position as the public exhibition period for the airport master plan came to a close this week. The council has submitted formal objections both independently and as part of Sydney's Parkland Councils Alliance, continuing to advocate for addressing potential noise and environmental impacts on the Blue Mountains. Port Stephens Council is considering selling 11 parcels of land, including a beloved Salamander Bay Park, that has sparked community outrage, with over 1,700 petition signatures opposing the sale. The Port Stephens Examiner reported that residents are fighting to preserve the green space, which serves as a community hub and beach access point, and is home to a century-old tree that would likely be demolished if the land is sold to fund road repairs. Bega MP Michael Holland has criticised Badalla Shire Council's unanimous vote to campaign against the closure of Batemans Bay Hospital Emergency Department. He told Radio 2EC that the decision contradicts his advice. Dr Holland has arranged a briefing of councillors to explain the necessity of the closure and maintains that the state government will not reverse its decision. And Shire Council is considering a special rate variation of 28.5% next year and 23% in 2027-28 to combat rising costs and maintain financial stability. The council says the measure is about preserving existing services rather than expansion, and it's launched a web page for residents to provide feedback before formal consultation begins in October. Rounding up more New South Wales news, Central Coast Council has agreed to join a New South Wales Department of Primary Industries trial to remove shark nets from one local beach, citing the effectiveness of alternative technologies like drones and listening devices. The DPI will select which beach to include in the trial based on a review of the region's current shark management program. Inner West Council has partnered with social enterprise Zapcat to offer residents free independent advice on electrifying their homes with technologies like solar panels, heat pumps and EV chargers. And Zest Fest returns to Orange on the 1st of November, featuring San Cisco as headliners alongside 4 distinct program areas, including a main stage, a live and local stage, an art activation zone and museum activation. The expanded free festival is officially part of the Orange Wine Festival calendar, backed by funding from the New South Wales Government, Orange City Council and others. That is our New South Wales Roundup for today, but look out for our next edition where I speak with Councillor Adam Walling from the City of Sydney Council about a couple of issues that he's very passionate about. That's coming up as a Roundup Extra on Monday's episode. Let's go to Queensland, where Burdegan Shire Council in the far north of the state has temporarily suspended Welcome to Country ceremonies at official events while it develops a formal policy on the traditional practice. Mayor Piorina Delacourt confirmed to the Townsville Bulletin that the council is no longer doing Welcome to Country, stating simply, "We don't do that here." The decision follows controversy that erupted late last year when Juru elder Randall Ross claimed the Kabarramunda Yalga Aboriginal Corporation had voted against continuing the practice on their ancestral lands. However, the claim had been disputed by other members of the corporation who maintained no such vote occurred. Council documents reveal ongoing confusion over which group has the authority to approve Welcome to Country ceremonies in the region. The Queensland Government and Bundaberg Regional Council are partnering on a comprehensive 20-year plan to enhance connectivity, safety and economic growth across the region's transport networks. The strategy targets key priorities including CBD revitalisation, hospital access, residential growth areas, flood resilience and improved freight and public transport connectivity to support both locals and tourism. The strategy's direction and priorities received 92% support in community feedback. And Rockhampton Regional Council has revised its undetected leak rebate policy, now allowing residents to claim once every 3 years and charging excess consumption at the lowest tier rate. The policy aims to support residents facing unexpectedly high water charges from hidden leaks, while ensuring the program remains sustainable for the community long term. Now let's whip around some news from the other states. In Tasmania, Waratah Wynyard councillor Gary Bramage has proposed repurposing a disused section of rail line in Somerset as a visitor attraction, potentially featuring historic carriages and a coffee cart. However, the proposal would require approval from Burnie City Council, which manages the strategic infrastructure corridor that was formerly part of the Tasmanian rail network until its closure in 2003. The Advocate reported that the council will hold a workshop meeting to discuss the idea. In South Australia, Whyalla City Council is supporting federal and state government initiatives to protect the nationally significant giant cuttlefish congregation at Point Lowly from an approaching algae bloom through the implementation of an innovative air bubble curtain technology. The 200-metre underwater barrier will disrupt algae movement if the bloom reaches Upper Spencer Gulf waters. Whyalla Mayor Phil Stone said the giant cuttlefish are a vital part of the region's identity and ecosystem, and a collaborative approach is key to addressing the potential threats efficiently. And the iconic Australian film Sunday Too Far Away is returning to its roots for a special 50th anniversary celebration. The 1975 classic, which stars Jack Thompson as a shearer leading workers in a strike against wealthy landowners, was filmed in and around Quorn in the Flinders Ranges. To mark the milestone, the council will host special screenings of the film projected onto the Quorn silos every Saturday night throughout September. In Western Australia, there's been another councillor resignation, and it's come too late to be dealt with at the upcoming round of elections in October. City of Melville councillor Thomas Fitzgerald has resigned effective immediately, having served since 2019. Due to the timing, an extraordinary election will be needed to fill his position, which was originally set to continue until 2027. The town of Cambridge has admitted to overcharging more than 4,600 property owners in City Beach and Floreat after making two errors in the striking of rates and the adoption of its budget. Chief Executive Lisa Clack apologised for the mistake, amounting to nearly $1 million, which was discovered after a vigilant ratepayer questioned their bill. Refunds ranging from just under $9 to more than $2,400 have been approved at a special council meeting held this week to determine a response to the blunder. The council has assured residents that no services will be cut as a result of the corrected budget. And Fremantle has been awarded the gold title of Australia's top tourism town at a ceremony in Canberra, recognising its authentic experiences, heritage, culture and coastline. The port city, which attracts nearly 1 million day trippers annually, triumphed over finalists from Tasmania, New South Wales and 3 other states in the category for towns with populations over 5,000. Mayor Hannah Fitzhardinge accepted the award and said it was recognition for the many passionate people, guides, volunteers, operators, artists and business owners who bring Fremantle to life. Global report time, and firstly in New Zealand, an update on that story from Grey District Council, where officials are disappointed with police inaction over online death threats to councillors. They're questioning why authorities can't act on serious threats of violence, including waterboarding and assassination. One News reported on a police statement in which they said they do not condone the behaviour, but that there was not enough evidence of the alleged offences to take further action. Mayor Tanya Gibson said this was a disappointing inconsistency in enforcement, pointing out that similar threats have resulted in charges in other districts, while their council has been left to implement additional security measures at ratepayers' expense. A damning report in the UK has revealed that 5 senior officials at Glasgow City Council received over £1 million in early retirement and redundancy payments without proper scrutiny. BBC News reported that the Accounts Commission found that restructuring proposals, which led to the substantial payouts between 2021 and 2024, were approved by some of the very individuals who directly benefited from them. That created what investigators called the appearance of a conflict of interest. The Commission said the actions of these senior staff fell short of the values and principles expected in the public sector. The Council's Deputy Leader, Richard Bell, acknowledged the findings and said the Council had already taken steps to change processes and increase elected member oversight when senior officials leave. Birmingham bin workers have voted to extend their industrial action potentially through March next year in their dispute over pay and job role downgrades. That would mark a full year of strike action, according to the BBC. The City Council says it's been reasonable through negotiations but needs to transform the service. But the union alleges that government-appointed commissioners have prevented a potential resolution deal from being implemented. And The Guardian reports that Coventry City Council is reviewing its £500,000 a year contract with US technology company Palantir following protests over the firm's connections to the Israel Defence Forces and concerns about AI replacing human workers. The council has been using the systems in its Children's Services Department for tasks including case note transcription and summarising social workers' records, and it had planned to expand the technology's use across other services. And finally, more and more I'm seeing data centres in the news, at home and abroad. In the US, a proposed data centre on 500 acres in Indianapolis is in peril, according to the Indianapolis Star. The City-County Council is set to reject the proposal, which requires a rezoning request to get through the council after receiving approval from development commissioners last month. It's just one example of a growing resistance to the expansion of data centres across the US, which use vast amounts of power and water. In Northern Virginia, known as the world's data center capital with over 300 facilities, officials are implementing stricter regulations and halting development projects. FierceNetwork.com has reported on how developers are looking to alternative locations like Ohio, Indiana and Texas to build increasingly larger facilities. But they're facing similar opposition concerns about noise, water usage and land preservation in these new areas. $64 billion worth of data centre projects are already affected by local protests, and some predict federal intervention will be needed to resolve the growing tension between AI-era infrastructure needs and community concerns. You've been listening to the Local Government News Roundup, episode number 487, recorded on the morning of Friday the 5th of September 2025. Comments and feedback can be sent by email to lgweeklynews@gmail.com. More information about the episode, including story links, at lgnewsroundup.com. My thanks to the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government. The Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. That's been another big week of the Roundup. We're back again next Monday, Wednesday and Friday with a special guest on Monday's edition, Councillor Adam Walling from the City of Sydney. Until then, thanks for listening and bye for now. The VLGA is offering a special councillor professional development intensive series. Partner with 3 other councils and save more than 50% off the minimum cost of completing all 13 modules in Year 1. The intensives will be held over 3 days. They're cost-effective, time-efficient and promote the benefits of peer-to-peer and face-to-face learning. In addition to the intensives and in recognition that every council has different needs, the VLGA also offers bespoke training options, both online and in person. A faculty of facilitators will work with you to customise a program that responds directly to the unique professional development needs of your council. To find out more, head to www.vlga.org.au.